Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Pariah Podcast, where I take the most interesting headlines from my free weekly newsletter, the Pariah Newsletter, and highlight them here. And we're going to start off with one of the more, I'd say, it's one of the things with the least amount of substance. It's very straightforward. According to the Literacy Project Foundation, 50% of American adults cannot read a book written at an 8th grade level. I will repeat. According to the Literacy Project Foundation, 50% of adult males, or of American adults, cannot read a book written at an 8th grade level. It's pretty staggering numbers. And if you continue on down, it says here that 45 million Americans are functionally illiterate and read below a 5th grade level. 44% of American adults do not read a book in a year, which I don't find that to be super unbelievable. Most Americans are kind of shifting away from books, and it's becoming less of a traditional thing. 6 out of 10 American households do not buy a single book in a year. Once again, I don't really personally find that to be super amazing. Let's see what's impact on the economy. 3 out of 4 people on welfare can't read. 20% of Americans read below the level needed to earn a living wage. Let's see what kind of impact on society it has. 3 out of 5 people in American prisons can't read. Which, of course, I don't think that's anything ultra surprising, right? Because one would naturally tend to think, if you're going to be imprisoned, in a prison, you're probably less educated than some that wouldn't be, imprisoned. 85% of juvenile offenders have problems reading. Again, that kind of makes sense. There's probably a strong correlation between minimal education and crimes that are committed. And to end this, it says approximately 50% of Americans read so poorly that they're unable to perform simple tasks, such as reading prescription drug labels. Which, it's kind of amazing, really. It's kind of astonishing. Because on one end, there's all these adults that are so illiterate. It's not that much of a surprise, I'd say, because the other day I was in a supermarket, right? And then there was this guy who was in there, and he pulled me aside, and he was asking for my help reading a floor cleaner bottle. He actually was genuinely serious, and he needed some help. He needed my help reading what it was the product was. And he was asking a 21-year-old, and he was like 40, 45, himself. It's kind of astonishing, but it's, I guess, a reality, Yeah, 50% of American adults cannot read a book written at an 8th grade level. Kind of astonishing. Kadyrov opens first concentration camp for gays since Hitler's regime. Kadyrov is a Russian politician for the Chechen region. Kadyrov has not only sponsored direct attacks on members of the LGBT community in his republic, but has adopted a plan for the final solution of the gay issue, and opened the first concentration camp in the world for sexual minorities since Hitler did so in the 1930s, according to a Novaya Gazeta investigation. The goal of this effort is the complete cleansing of Chechnya from men of non-traditional sexual orientation. The authorities have set up several internment camps where inmates are killed or forced to promise to leave the republic. One of those who fled told these 2 Russian people that before being incarcerated in one of the camps, he had been forced to pay bribes to Chechen police of thousands of rubles every month in order to survive. Now, the regime has taken another step against gays by creating these camps, the survivor says. Incarcerated in the secret jail where people are beaten to force them to name other members of the gay community. Let's click on this. This is the area believed where the internment camp is for homosexuals. So yeah, homosexuals, it's starting to look like are being imprisoned over in the Chechen region of Russia. If you go over the Toronto Sun, it has a little bit more information. The camps are chillingly reminiscent of the death gulag set up by Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler to exterminate gay men and women during the Second World War. Gay people have been detained and rounded up, and we are working to evacuate people from the camps, and some have now left the region. Someone told the Russian Russian LGBT network told the Daily Mail. Those who have escaped said that they are detained in the same room and people are kept all together, around 30 or 40. They are tortured with electric currents and heavily beaten, sometimes to death. At least 3 men have been killed. One man who escaped told Novaya Gazeta that the prisoners are brutally beaten and forced to rat out other members of the LGBT community. We can only call on Russian authorities to investigate the allegations. He added that there are, let's go down. Besides the brutal camps, many LGBT people face honor killings by their families. And President of the region, Razman Kadyrov, an ally of Russian strongman Vladimir Putin, is the one who ordered the clampdown, essentially denying all charges, saying that they are absolute lies and disinformation. So, yeah, it's starting to look like, from multiple sources, that there is a region of Russia that's starting to gather up homosexuals and put them in homosexual internment camps. They're bribing some members of the community, if they find out they are homosexual, to stay there and not live in the internment camp. So there's a lot of terrible things going on in Russia. It doesn't really help with the pro-Russia, narrative that some people are trying to push. Russia's not very in a very good light right now, given the whole Syrian attack thing, him backing Assad, and the election, and this just further worsens Russia's image to the entire world, essentially. Okay, so the first article was about illiteracy among American adults. Second article was about how portions of Russia are starting to imprison homosexuals. So let's go to something that's a bit more positive. All right. Here, 14,000-year-old village unearthed on British Columbian Island by UVic student. An ancient village older than the pyramids has been unearthed by a University of Victoria student, and a British Columbia First Nation says it backs up tribe stories passed down for generations. Alicia Guevaro, an anthropology PhD student at UVic, has been excavating a rocky spit on the Trevec Island, some 500 kilometers northwest of Victoria. Scientists say the artifact exhumed on the remote islands are painting a picture of how the civilization began. I remember when we got the date backs, and we just kind of sat around going, "Holy moly, this is sad," or "This is old," said Guevaro. What the team found is incredible. Tools for lighting fires, fish hooks, and spears, all dating back 14,000 years ago. The discovery has led experts to believe a large human migration may have occurred in British Columbia's unfrozen coastline. What's more remarkable is that this scientific discovery appears to corroborate the tribe's oral history, around the region. It's very special to not only me, but to our entire tribe. Housley said that elders have passed down stories of ancient coastal villages for ages, and those cultural stories are now cemented in fact. To think about how these stories survived all of that to be supported by this archaeological evidence is just amazing, he said. The British Columbia village is the oldest to be discovered in North America, but crew's work isn't over yet. Scientists will dig on other remote British Columbian islands to keep tracking the ancient footprint of man as far as it goes. So it's kind of amazing because we were unable to unearth a village that was 14,000 years old, right? And that, as I said here, that predates the Egyptian pyramids, which is pretty amazing because historians believed, right, that before Christopher Columbus, it was the Native Americans that were here first, right? And then all of these other things started popping up. These, what was it? The Viking coins were popping up all over North America that predated the Native Americans. And then this pops up, right? A village that was 14,000 years old along the British Columbian coastline. It's kind of amazing. So it kind of makes you wonder more as to what the true history of mankind was, right? Kind of a bit more positive news. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this newsletter or this podcast. It's the first edition. It will only continue to get exponentially better from here. I will do my part to try to improve the quality of it and everything. Please like, comment, subscribe, contribute to the conversation. Subscribe to my free weekly newsletter, the Pariah newsletter, where I bring this type of news to you and much, much more. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.